Well, unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know that Senator Mark Kelly has filed a lawsuit against Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War in the Department of War, saying the comments he made back in November are constitutionally protected freedom of speech. And because he's a senator, he has a right to criticize the government. Well, let's discuss this and see where we're going with this. And the only reason I can tell you we're going to discuss this, because I'm also a retired officer from the United States Air Force. Served basically the same amount of time that he did in the United States military. And I do know something, and it's something you need to understand about when you're a retired military individual. All of us who are retired military officers are still beholden to the UCMJ. That's part of the deal when you're retired, because you carry an ID card, and that ID card allows you to admittance to military bases, to utilize military facilities, and take a military paycheck. And with that comes certain rules, responsibilities that still operate since you are still part of the United States military, even though you're retired. Because if you're accepting money from the military, you're still working under their rules. Now, the case of Kelly, here's what he and 5 other individuals did last November. They went into a studio, a broadcast studio, looked at a script, read it over, and did the identical same speech in front of a TV camera. That speech was obviously recorded, edited, adjusted, changed, and matched up and completely done production so it can be put out for the public to see. That is vastly different than standing in the well of the Senate, being like Mr. Smith goes to Washington and vocally saying, I don't like what the president is doing, and telling people in the military, hey, don't do an unlawful order. Well, totally different. That to me means that's a stage representation that was put together, that is not operating in the well of the Senate like you think you can. This is going into a TV studio with 5 other people and producing a 90-second commercial, production-wise, professionally done. Now, the U.S. Supreme Court over the years has taken on these situations involving freedom of speech in the military, but the Supreme Court says military is treated differently. Military doesn't necessarily have the same freedom of speech rights, and that's from the U.S. Supreme Court. And also, we're talking about a situation of censure. Now, the censure is done, it's part of a proceeding. It takes about 45 days, and it has to be looked at to see if we're going to censure someone for comments they made. It's not a criminal offense. It's something you said and did that violates the code of the UCMJ. In this case, Articles number 133 and 134, the good order. And that's what is being done. Now, it's got to have a lot of review. And by the way, Senator Kelly has 30 days to respond. All that information is taken in before anything is even decided. So could he be reduced in rank from a captain to a lower rank and his pay reduced? It's possible. Has it happened before? I don't know. But I can tell you this. When you are a retired member of the United States military and you're accepting government money and you have an ID card, then you are still beholden to the UCMJ. Maybe not as tightly as that is when you're active, but good order in the military is still important regardless. Now, how this will turn out, I can't tell you. But the lawsuit he's filed is going to be going into the court system, and the judges will either go yes or no, whatever judges do. But does this have the potential of going all the way to the United States Supreme Court to say what someone can say or can't say? Well, that may happen. But like I said previously, the courts have said military people are treated a little bit differently and are not exactly allowed all the freedoms of the First Amendment. How well this will play out, I do not know. But I can tell you this. That was a stage presentation, professionally done, videotaped, and completely edited and set up to tell people in the military, hey, if it's illegal, don't do it. As a member of the United States military, I know, and we all know, what's legal, what's not. I don't need someone on the outside telling me what I already know. And by the way, when they made that commercial, what did they say was illegal? That's the part I'm still having an issue with. What were they talking about? Or was it just a play for politics? That's where this is all going, folks. Now you know, and now you understand. And let's see where it works out. The government works in strange ways, but so does the law. And now you know.